talk about breasts.
Let's talk about you and me.
Let's talk about all the good things
and all the bad things. All right. Welcome to episode 12 of Boobtube. All right. So we're so happy that you all are here, that you are joining with us today and all the other times. If you haven't, go back, check out some other episodes, and make sure you subscribe and keep up with us.
Definitely do that.
All right. And I'm your best friend, Jaleesa.
Oh, and I'm Chantel. All right. So last week we leveled up our lives by hearing from Katie the Bra Whisperer. This week we are strutting down the runway the only way we know how, and that is America's Next Top Heavy Model Style.
But before we take that walk, we're going to go and take it to the streets, see what they have to say.
Okay, you named a model.
What's her name? I can't name her name. I know what they look like. I can't name her name though. I have a clear image in my head.
Know what they look like. Okay.
That's probably saying though.
Okay. What do you think is the largest cup size for your average model?
Average model? Like I would just say like regular, like natural. Okay, I would just say maybe like
okay. Can I give you a model with big breasts? Dolly Parton. Okay. Can you name a model with a big full bust? No brainer.
a model with full bust.
It's the largest cup size for your average model.
Average model? D. I would say B also.
Okay.
You're laughing.
What do you think is the largest cup size for your average model?
Average?
So that street segment was, interesting as they usually are, because primarily I didn't know Dolly Parton was a model.
Something new to me too.
Yeah. It kind of made me think about the other time when we asked about the model. No, like someone who was known for breasts or something in the media, and we had Queen Latifah as an answer.
Yeah, it seemed like Dolly Parton should have been the celebrity, and Queen Latifah should have been mentioned in this one
as the model.
Yes.
Yeah, that would make sense, but that didn't happen this time.
Did not.
Win some, you lose some. What else?
Tyra Banks.
Yeah,
that she was brought up, and I know she was a model, but I didn't really think about her as being full bust. But apparently,
she is a full busted model. Yeah, for sure. So that's that. That was a fair answer. Mm-hmm. And then everyone kept the cup sizes very small when they said what sizes they were for the average model, and that made sense.
Yeah, perfect sense.
So because you could easily be a 28 as a model around and wearing a D cup.
Yeah.
Or a C or a B. But it makes sense.
There's not going to be no Dolly Partons out there.
It's not. And speaking of which, why don't we discuss how the difference between full bust and full figure models?
Yes. So full figure is going to be talking about the actual figure of the body. So it's going to be not just the breast, but other parts, the hips and the butt and all the other stuff too. Full bust is just mostly focused on the bust, like you said. Like you can be you can have a small frame, 32, but you can have a large bust. So that would be considered full bust. And you can be full figure and not full bust at all, and you can be full bust and not full figure.
Right. And a lot of people don't know that you could be one without the other.
Yeah.
Because they usually just think full figure, full bust is just all the same. Everything's just full, but everyone's not.
No.
Yeah.
There is a difference.
I do see, as far as when you think about this, you think about what the stereotypical model or whatever looks like. And I can't say that over time, times have progressed, So we do see more full figure models than we have in the past. For those who've been a while, alive a little while, like us, we've been around to see some things shift. Others, if you're younger, you're probably just accustomed to seeing these things, but we definitely
there was some progression.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So it's easy to see a full figure model, and most times, the full figure models will have full bust, but they're not going to be like your HJs, Ks, like those type of cups. But you could easily have like a 38 or 40D or so, maybe E in a full bust model or mannequin that you might see. Yeah, that's easy to come across.
Yeah, well, I'm still working on the mannequin part, but we'll get there. I'm still having the stuff, like I can find like what I'm looking for as far as the mannequin, but I found I'm looking for a small frame, big bust mannequins, and I don't see that. I see the full figure.
Yeah, I wonder if you could get them custom made, possibly.
I'm pretty sure.
I've seen some nice ones when I went to Curve earlier in the year in New York, but I don't know if that was something that was custom made or if they just got it somewhere nice. I don't know, but that one was full figure and full bust, but it was just like a nice full bust. Okay, if that makes sense. Because some of the other ones are like full figure, but they're still just like a D cup or a D cup. And you need it to be more, maybe a G.
Yes.
So yeah.
So, did you happen to use any models with your business?
I did. I did happen to use some models that obviously are full bust. Their figures definitely range, but I think I would go ahead and say at least 2 for sure are full figure. One might be, and she's like more tall too. She's not that stereotypical model body, but if I had to guess, I would say she's considered full figure too.
Okay,
but again, full figure looks different on every body, on every figure. So, yes, I was able to find some models. What about you?
Yeah, I put out the call and I was able to I found like a smaller frame model who was full bust, and I had some models who would be considered full figure, and I had some in between. So,
right.
Yeah. So
yeah, they're out there for sure.
They are. I know. I mean, the models are real people, so
right. But as far for me, mine aren't like actual models outside of modeling.
They're not. Yeah, they're not with an agency or anyone, but they are definitely interested in getting into that. So again, they're real people. So
yeah, you're able to find them. Did you find any challenges when you were trying to find your models?
Yes. So when I was like full bust, I would get full figure quite often. Then I would have to confirm the sizing that I was looking for, and a lot of times, quite often, it didn't match. So trying to distinguish between full figure and full bust was the challenge for me.
I kind of scouted mine out. Like I didn't do a casting call like for everyone. I knew some people and I reached out to them and asked. And then I think I did try for one that was like an actual model because I thought that was what I needed. But they actually fell through, and I think it was for the best because like it just worked itself out. And the other model that came was me. I asked a friend, and they were able to recommend someone. I was like, oh, okay, and they were willing to do it. And we have our own little community of uplifting models.
Oh, good.
Great. Yeah.
Good. So, is there any particular body type, ideal body type that you have when you are thinking about
the breast? Okay. Luckily, they all have 3 different body types, and I like that because it shows like different size women. Because a lot of times when people think uplifting and like lifting cups D and up, they're like, oh, you have to be a big woman.
No,
and you don't. So I like that it showed different body sizes, different cup sizes, and everything, so that they didn't have just like one idea of what uplifting was. It gives a better chance of seeing your reflection in my model, so like, oh, she does service women that look like me.
Good, yeah. That's good to have in mind. I would agree. Just try to make sure you have different representation of different body types.
Yeah, so that they know. What about you?
I wanted to, have different body types represented as well. I definitely wanted to I wanted to be cautious of the small frame, big bust though, just because I think that that's something that's overlooked. And that's pretty much kind of how our products are designed for small waist, big bust, although we do go up to larger sizes, but it's mainly for small frame, big bust. So I want people to see that.
Makes sense. And then, do you have any other things that you look for in your models, or maybe like in the future, what you might want to look for in your models?
In the future, I definitely want to look. I mean, we talked about the difference between full bust, full figure, but full figure, full bust women too. 'Cause they're out there too, so they need to be represented.
I got some of those.
Okay.
I mean, I'm satisfied, but I mean, of course, like expanding in the future or something, I just add even more women to that. Like maybe someone that's not full figure but full bust.
Yeah,
I could add them too.
Yeah.
So they could see. Yeah. But other than that, I mean, well, not even other than that. I mean, I'm definitely fully satisfied.
Good.
That's good. Now, do you think it's time that we, let them see who we spoke to about these things and introduce our guests?
I think that is right.
So, we do have a special guest today that we wanted to join so that they could talk about these things, being a model and working in modeling. So, here's a look at what we had to say.
All right. Today we have a special guest, Nikki Gomez, joining us from Tulsa, Oklahoma, by way of New York. Along with being a model, she has been on reality TV and is now a model coach. Welcome, Nikki.
Thank you.
How are you?
I am doing great. Wishing it was a little bit warmer, but I'm alive. Everything is good.
I feel that too.
The coldest stars ever.
So thank you again for joining us as we continue our conversation about boobs in models. And so first of all, tell us how you got into modeling.
Ooh, good question. Okay. So I gotta think way back. It's been almost 20 years now. So thinking back. Honestly, at the time, I was probably what I thought was my biggest size. So the last thing on my mind in college and all that was like, I'm going to be a model. Like it was not on my mind or radar, especially in the early 2000s. Like I just didn't think there was a market for anyone plus size. So it was not on my radar, but people kept coming up to me, strangers, men, women, all different people were just like, you should model. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then I just was like, you know what, let me do a little research, found a website. This is pre-Facebook, pre-Instagram. There was a website called plusmodels.com. And they had a thread where you can, post pictures of yourself and get feedback. And I had my ex at the time take pictures of me, and the feedback was so overwhelmingly positive. Now, this was a place where there was agents, photographers, lots of people in the industry were actually on this website. So even getting that feedback from established professionals made me think, okay, well, let me give this a shot. Went to an open call for, at the time, what was a new plus size only modeling agency. Walked in and was told by the owner immediately, you are the first model who's walked in here. You are signed. And I went, what? And that was in 2004. And so from then, my journey just started like almost immediately. The first Go See I went to was put on hold. It was a big brand. After that, I went to a runway audition and I booked it. And then it just like kind of snowballed from there.
All right.
Wow. The way that just happened and fell into place is crazy.
It is crazy. I never thought I'd be doing that. So yeah.
Yes, it was really meant for you then.
Thanks.
So what would you say is your favorite apparel to model?
I don't really think I have a favorite or a least favorite. I think it's more like I love to model things that one, feel good on me and that I think will be good for other women. Plus size is such a niche, and it's grown over the years. Like when I first started, a lot of my clients were making just muumuus. It was shapeless. You know, nothing against a good muumuu. I like a good muumuu around the house. I feel very royal in one. But like, you know, for every day going out, I want to look cute just like everybody else,
Right.
and trendy. And that didn't exist when I first started. So I got to see that part of the industry grow, and I got to be part of it as a wholesale fashion rep at the time. And I got to travel with like emerging plus size designers and their clothes, and like really help bring that contemporary fashion to the forefront.
That's great. You got to see the emergence of where we are now from where you started. And you mentioned plus size modeling back. I mean, even thinking about your interview, like you were the first one to come in. I wonder, like at that time, how things were promoted and how women felt at that time to go in as a plus size model. Could you give some of your insight into that? Like you got the recognition, the accolades before even going in. Did you talk to other models to see how they felt, or maybe some hesitations?
I think in the beginning, I didn't know what that looked like. Like I didn't know any other big plus size models or brands or anything. There was one magazine that I wish still exists. It was called Mode Magazine. And it had right on the cover a beautiful plus size woman in amazing fashion. And the cover said Mode Fashion for Women sizes 12, 14, 16 and up. Okay. Right there. And this is like 2002, 2003. And I was like, oh my God, this magazine exists. And so that was like maybe the first real peek into that world that I got. And I got to learn about people like Emmy and some other plus size trailblazers. But other than that, I didn't have like a community of plus size models around me until I really got into it.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
You go ahead.
I was going to say, what have you had to overcome being full or I guess plus size or even full bust model?
Yeah. It's hard. It's one of those things where I had to really hone into who I am, right? Any type of model, it doesn't matter if plus size, busty, not, you have to know who you are first, because this industry will try to define you. And it's not necessarily malicious. It's sometimes just like, this is what's going to sell this brand. This is what's going to, work for this brand. And it's easy to get caught up in what other people say about you. And what people don't understand about the modeling industry is that people don't say things behind your back. They say it to your face or right in front of you. So it's like, oh, she has a slope in her back. It's like, what's my slope? What does that mean? Like, or she has, short torso or long legs, or they talk about you in front of you. And so that can take a toll on you. And so I remember one of my first clients was really, really sweet when we first started working together. I think I gained maybe 5 pounds because I got married. We know what marriage does sometimes. So I put on a little honeymoon weight, and it wasn't even obvious. Like no one can tell in photos or anything. And she really was insulting and cruel. And to the point where I didn't feel comfortable enough to continue. And so I did not work with her again. But had I not had a strong sense of self, that could have definitely impacted me.
Right.
And on the topic of boobs, I've done fit modeling for fashion brands and fashion houses, and I am busty. And so I had to get minimizers to take me down at least 1/2 inch in my measurements so that I could do the fit modeling jobs.
Was that uncomfortable, or did you not feel any difference?
No, you definitely feel more compressed. So it's not the most comfortable, but I would say it's easy to get used to. It's kind of like when you get fitted for a new bra and your bra has been baggy for forever, and you don't even realize that's a problem. And then all of a sudden something's tight on your body and like, wait, what is this? But it looks so much better. So it's kind of like that.
Did it come out well, like in the photos and everything?
Yeah. So with fit modeling, it's not really photos. It's so I would try on the samples for the designers, and then they would make their samples based on my measurements. So that's why the measurements have to be like just right when you're doing fit modeling, and you can't lose or gain 1/2 inch.
I understand now. Where do you see the biggest need to fill in gaps in the modeling industry?
I think that it's it's changing and it's growing in a good way. I'm seeing a lot more diversity as far as, ethnicity, as far as even height. Like I'm 5'7". My agents, when I first started, would all say I was 5'9", just so I can get my foot in the door. And then you find out that that's kind of a normal thing. Most people exaggerate. But now, I see models that are 5'5", that are 5'4". I see models that are size 22. It used to be unheard of to get like bigger than a size 14. And it's like, we're all beautiful. We all have something to offer. And I think the more that we start celebrating all of the beauty within the industry, the better it's going to get.
Right. That makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Have you found there to be specific requests for full bust models? I know like the industry for plus size is growing, but specifically for full bust.
I can't say that I have.
Okay.
I think a lot of times with modeling, they tend to care more about proportions. So it's not so much, does she have a full bust or does she not? It's more like, what is her bust in proportion to the rest of her measurements, and how does that affect the clothing and the fit and overall look?
Okay. Because even thinking about when you mentioned being a fit model and having to wear a minimizer, that made me think, they can, they might be requesting plus size, but then there's still this other part of bodies that are measurements. Because when it comes to fit, making sure that the tops fit even a small person or a full figure person, but then there's always that bust size that matters. So the fact that they would do the minimizing too, it just, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, there's still a need for full bust fashion.
Yeah, I think there is a need beyond what's out there. I do know that there are like bust lingerie fit models, like they exist where they'll go into like, let's say Adore Me or Victoria's Secret. Like Victoria's Secret was one of our clients when I was an agent. So like they would ask for specific size models bust, just so they can try on the clothes or the bra and like give feedback. So it exists. It's just, I'm not sure of like any fashion houses or brands that are specifically geared to just busty women. It tends to just be an overall body shape or something.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
As a model coach, what would you say has been your experience with those who have full bust or a bust size that's above average?
It's been just like anything else, honestly. As a model coach, I tend to just ask my clients, like I love to ask their dream clients, so if they like I had a client who she loved doing lingerie, but she didn't want to be a lingerie model, right? So we didn't go after anything like that. It's more just like, okay, what do you want to do? What's available to you, and how do you go for it? And there's literally something for everyone. You just have to know exactly what you're going after, and then make sure that like your marketing materials, your photographs fit that. Otherwise, it's just not going to work.
Got it.
Okay. Works that way about everything.
What'd you say?
I said it works that way in just about everything.
Yeah, exactly.
So models are known for being a certain size. And we are seeing more diverse bodies in the industry. How important is representation to you?
Oh my God, it's so important. It's the most important thing. It's literally my driving force for almost my entire career. It's like, I want to represent, for one, models to look a certain way, to be different. Number two, a photographer. Like I've been doing photography for 17 years. I've created images of beautiful women of all different shapes, sizes, color, you name it, like, because I want people to see that and realize that they're beautiful too, that there's not one standard of beauty. And I always thought, like, if you flood the internet and the world with images that are not what they think they're supposed to be, and they realize it's beautiful, then we're completely changing the paradigm. And that's always been my goal.
I love that.
Yeah.
I had a follow-up question. And could anybody be a model then?
Essentially, I mean, I think it has less to do with like specific looks, because there's more than one kind of model. People think like, oh, Gigi Bella Hadid walking the runway type of model. That's a fashion model. There's e-com, there's commercial, there's lifestyle, there's fitness, there's fit, their showroom, there's parts, there's so many different types of models that if you know what avenue is best for you or which avenues, because there could be multiple ones, then you can make the most of it. But if you're too scared to go after it, if you don't like being in front of the camera, if you don't want to be on video, then no, not everybody can be a model. So that's really what it boils down to. It's like, do you have the drive and passion to go after what you want? Or is that just not really your jam?
And just carry on from that, is there any like specific advice that you have for those who are wanting to become models, especially plus size models, full busted, etc.?
Yeah, do your research. When I started out in 2004, there weren't really a lot of resources. There weren't a lot of people talking about it. And now it's endless. And having a coach helps, and the reason why it helps, it's not so much like I'm going to teach you how to walk and take photos. If you need to know that, I can help. That's not my expertise. I like to teach you the business. Like, no one's teaching models the business. And the reason for that is because it benefits the system. When models know the business, they know, one, how not to get taken advantage of, and two, how to self-submit and go after what they really want. And most of my clients get what they want because they go after it. So I'd say that's the biggest thing. It takes the average model 5 to 7 years to make a living modeling. Why? It's not necessary. Like, so with a coach who knows exactly what the industry is like, who can give you a leg up, it can accelerate that in like 90 days.
Wow. No. 5 to 7 years. I mean, because I'm thinking like fashion is so, and then you mentioned the other industries in modeling too. I'm just thinking of fashion in particular. Like, that's just a loaded industry. I would imagine that models would be, always in, working and need a job, always getting paid essentially, but that is not the case.
Not the case. It's usually a bigger investment and a lot of waiting and a lot of rejection. I think the benefits of what I try to teach my clients to do is that the waiting game is over. Like, there's no reason to sit around and wait. And a lot of it has to do with intimidation and fear. They're afraid to talk to their agents. They're afraid to go after clients. They don't know what to do. They don't know the legalities. They don't know. So it's like, learn all of that if you want to get into this business, and you will do well.
Okay. Quite insightful.
Thanks.
But it makes sense. I guess it's kind of like any industry where things like that could take a long time, but if you know the background and if you know what you need to know, then it could happen differently. So that's good that you're out there helping people.
Yeah, if I could save you some of the years of trial and error, heartache that I went through, then I am all for it.
I have a question regarding, again, thinking about breasts, and you talked about the minimizer, but when it comes to, I guess, even things outside of lingerie or just tops, like, how does one go about making sure that they're, I guess, prepared to be a model? And I guess I'm coming from that point of view, like you talk about, like designers having samples that you're putting on their samples. But if the industry is changing to include more full bust models, I guess, in your experience so far, have you seen where those measurements are changing in a sense?
I mean, from a modeling perspective, I'm a little out of the game. The last job I did was for skincare, so it was a little different. But if I think back, it's important to have variety of bras and stuff that fit you when you're going to a job. So like, for instance, I'm busty and I have to wear a bra. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, same thing with like strapless. Like, I know there's all these innovations in strapless bras, but most of them don't work for me unless they're like corset ones, and then I can't get it on myself. So what's the point? So even going to castings or jobs where they want me to try on a strapless gown, okay, but I'm wearing my bra straps or I'm tucking them in, and it's not the same lift and it's not the same. So there is complications. The best thing I could say is that any model who's doing this goes for a proper fitting, 80% of what all American women are wearing the wrong size bra. Go
Right.
for proper fitting, get options, make sure you have all the options in your model bag. So that way, if a client has a request for you to try something on, you're prepared and you don't feel uncomfortable, or you're not spilling out of the gown. Most clients know your measurements before they ask you to come in. So more often than not, it's not going to be like a spillage situation.
Look at you giving gems for free. Where can they find you if they want to be on, if they want your services?
I can't help myself.
That makes me think, like you mentioned that they gave you a minimizer before for your fit modeling. So, and in this case, you're talking about how model needs to make sure she's always properly fitted and wearing a good bra when she goes to her modeling gigs. Forgive me if the terminology isn't correct.
You got it right.
Okay, cool. Enough TV has helped me. So, are there times where, like other times when they will provide the bra for you? Maybe is it just when they want to possibly minimize you, or?
So even the minimizer I had to get. So like my agent was like, these are the specs they want. You're off by, I don't know, a quarter of an inch or half an inch. If you get a minimizer, this might be better for you and they might want to keep you. So I invested in that. And I know we all know as boobalicious babes, bras are not cheap. So, you know, a good minimizer is probably running me like $75, $80, but that was an investment I was willing to make for the job. They give you bras when it's a lingerie fitting or a lingerie job, because then they want you to wear theirs. I didn't do much lingerie in my career, probably thankfully so. It's not something I really wanted to do, but you know, I know models that are busty that do it and they get provided the lingerie.
Do they fit the models too for the lingerie? Or do they just
ask your measurements? They trust, as a model, honestly, it's our responsibility to know our measurements, to get properly measured for our undergarments, and then to provide that information to our agents and clients when they need it.
Okay.
Wouldn't have go to just walking down the runway, or you know.
Thankfully, that's not all there is to it, because that was not my strong suit.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. Didn't know the ins and outs, what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's complicated and involved, and like there's something for everyone. Just depends on what you're really wanting to do.
Right.
Keep that in mind. So, where can folks find you if they want to seek your services as a model coach?
Yeah, so I'm always on Instagram. So at the Nikki Gomez, NIKKIGOMEZ. You can always email me at nikkigomez66@gmail.com, and my website is thenikkigomez.com.
Right. Any other things you like to share?
Any want to leave on a positive note? Any words of wisdom to leave for the viewers? I don't know.
Let me think.
It could be about
anything.
Fine. Yeah.
I think, you know, in my old age now.
You are not old.
I'm up there. I'm just blessed with, you know, decent melanin and stuff to keep
Heredity, all of that.
So my wisdom says, embrace all of the things that make you. Realize you don't have to conform to one thing in your life to be successful, and go after the things that bring you joy.
I love that. All of it.
I know. I'm receiving it.
Good. I monetize all the things I love to do. So, you know, if you want to talk about any of that stuff, I am here for it.
All right. Well, we thank you for your time with us and for blessing us with some wisdom, and, you know, for all those you call it a boobalicious
babes.
What was it? Boobalicious babes. Yes.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me on. This was so much fun. I'm so excited for everything that's happening with Bounceless and all of that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for and blessing us with your beautiful presence and words.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Being a model is one thing, Being a model that is top heavy is another.
For sure.
We learned how to stretch your stuff in confidence if you are a model or aspiring to be a model. So tune in next Tuesday as we discuss Fun in the Sun with boobs, of course.
Of course.
Keep abreast of breasts.
Yes.
See you next week. See ya.